Good afternoon and welcome to our Wednesday edition of Newsbreak. I'm Chris Cumella. This morning, Manhattan federal investigators obtained a search warrant on former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani's apartment in the Upper East Side. According to Giuliani's attorney, the search is part of a probe into potential violations of the Foreign Agents Registration Act from Giuliani's work with Ukraine. Giuliani, who was former President Donald Trump's personal lawyer, is now under investigation regarding his activities in Ukraine, including whether he illegally lobbied for Ukrainian officials while trying to dig up dirt on then-candidate Joe Biden during the 2020 election. Two of Giuliani's business associates, Igor Fruman and Lev Parnas, have already been indicted on false statements and campaign finance violations. They were accused in 2019 of illegally funneling foreign money to a U.S. congressman in exchange for unseating Marie Yovanovitch, who was the U.S. ambassador to Ukraine at the time. In a statement released through his attorney, Giuliani accused federal authorities of a corrupt double standard and said that the Justice Department was biased against anyone involved with former President Trump. Giuliani has not been charged and stands by his statement that he is innocent. In Queens yesterday, an NYPD officer was killed on the Long Island Expressway just before 2 a.m. The officer, Anastasios Sakos, was hit by a passing vehicle while he was directing traffic. The driver, 32-year-old Jessica Beauvais, was allegedly driving while intoxicated and under a suspended license. She hit Sakos at full speed, launching him 100 feet. She continued to drive through the scene of a previous car crash that the officers had been directing traffic around. Sakos had been wearing full reflective gear and had been standing next to a police car with its lights flashing on. Beauvais faces charges of reckless endangerment, 2 counts of vehicular manslaughter, DWI, and several others. The 43-year-old officer leaves behind a wife, a 6-year-old daughter, and a 3-year-old son. Protesters and elected officials have petitioned for the release of the law enforcement body camera footage that was captured during the fatal shooting of Andrew Brown Jr. Brown was shot and killed by Pasquotank County deputies last week while sitting inside his car as the deputies were executing an arrest warrant. North Carolina Judge Jeff Foster said media outlets have no legal standing to view or release the footage, which will only be shown to Brown's son and other family members, along with their attorney. Foster's refusal to release the body cam footage follows claims that the video could harm the reputation or safety of the deputies involved and interfere with the state's investigation. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention updated guidelines detailing activities fully vaccinated people can safely resume without a mask. The new maskless recommendations include walking, biking, or running outdoors and attending small outdoor gatherings or meals. It's still encouraged for individuals to remain masked during all indoor or large outdoor gatherings, regardless of vaccine status. Individuals are considered fully vaccinated 2 weeks after they receive the final dose of their respective vaccine. CDC Director Rochelle Walensky says the new guidelines are a step closer to the normalcy of before. In New York, Governor Andrew Cuomo announced today that beginning next month, statewide mandated food and beverage curfews will come to an end. Starting May 3rd, bars and restaurants in the 5 boroughs will be able to return to bar seating, which will align with the rules for the rest of the New York state. Cuomo also announced the end of the curfew on outdoor dining areas, which will come on May 17th. With the lift of the 12 a.m. indoor area curfew coming at the end of the month. Finally, today we lost a true pioneer, said NASA's acting administrator Steve Jurczyk, as they mourn the passing of Michael Collins. Collins' family has announced his passing today after battling cancer. Collins was known as the man who stayed behind in the Lunar Command Module during the historic Apollo 11 mission to the moon. He was often described as the forgotten third astronaut. Though he reached orbit of the moon alongside Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, he was the only astronaut who stayed on board the command ship Columbia during the moon landing. He was the 4th person to have performed a spacewalk. However, he was not a big fan of fanfare and was very critical of the cult of celebrity. Collins never regretted staying on board the Columbia, stating that he had the best seat in the house and that he was thankful to have it. Collins was 90 years old. And that is all the time we have for today. For Newsbreak, I'm Chris Cumella.